In this video, I'm going to cover how you, just like many other investors across the nation, can make $8,000 a month plus by getting booked by relocation agencies the way we continuously get booked by them by focusing on a very specific strategy. If you have currently a furnished rental, whether it's on Airbnb or Furnished Finder, there is another niche that is being untapped. Now, why you should believe me, my name is Ruben Kanya. I've helped hundreds of investors nationwide for getting booked by these relocation agencies to maximize their profitability and occupancy. And these contracts and bookings can go anywhere from 1 month to 9 months to even up to a year at the highest premium rates. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can get started today for free. With that said, if you get value from this video, you want to make sure you hit the subscribe button and grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint that will cover the details on how we're able to do this. But why don't we get started? But first, I like giving a little bit of context. How did we even get into this space to begin with? So originally we were traditional Airbnb operators, again operating in single family homes, typically 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, anywhere from that range. And what we found is we were again in the market to compete for what is now, if you're watching this in 2025 or later, it's going to be about catering to experiences. And we were in a reasonable market. We did not have a huge budget when it came to design and furniture. We didn't have the pools, we didn't have all the bells and whistles that some of the top properties in the marketplace, in your marketplace, have, that make them stand apart and that allow them to get all types of short-term rental bookings at a premium. So therefore we find ourselves, what do we do with the current properties that we have and the current capital that we currently have? And that's how we again found, or at least discovered and educated ourselves, and we're educated on a niche that exists in the marketplace where there are multiple relocation agencies that work with insurance companies that are looking to relocate displaced families due to unforeseen events. Depending on when the time you're watching this, anything from like hurricanes to Florida to wildfires in California, those are some of the extreme situations. But what we're talking about is some of the actual day-to-day occurrences that happen in your very own backyard. It could be, yes, a fire. It could be a pipe bursting and a flood being caused. It could be sewage backing up into the home. It could be a branch falling on a roof. It could be just regular construction needed because of an unforeseen event happening to someone who owns a home and has insurance on it and is therefore called a policyholder that is now eligible for their insurance company to relocate them until the home is brought back to good condition. But why are we talking about relocation agencies? Why am I talking about relocation agencies when sometimes we hear insurance companies and then we hear relocation agencies? What's the difference? Well, the thing is, insurance companies like a State Farm, Allstate, or Farmers, they don't work directly with homeowners like you and me on Airbnb and Furnished Finder or Zillow, whatever the case might be. These insurance companies, when their policyholder needs a temporary housing solution, they will work with a relocation agency that handles these kind of displacements in bulk. And these are the relocation agencies that most people, not you because you're watching this, most investors are not familiar with, which means they're leaving a lot of money on the table because they're either trying to go toe to toe on Airbnb, the battle of spending as much money on furnish and design to stay at the top, which again, money to be made there, but highly capital intensive and high turnovers. Or there's those who are the furnished finders of the world who are catering to travel nurses, etc. And travel nurses typically travel on a budget, even traveling professionals, and they have a stipend. So that's not what we're catering to. And that's why I want to talk to you about the relocation agencies, because those are the types of agencies who are looking to relocate families at scale, which means we are also fostering a B2B, business to business relationship with these relocation agencies, because once we serve them once, we've opened up the door to then serve them again. Because what do they do for a living? They relocate families in bulk for a living. So it's in your best interest to foster a relationship with those kind of agencies, because at the very least, there's a good chance if you do business with them once, you'll do business with them again. So now, if you're currently getting value from watching this video, you'll want to make sure you take a second and click below to grab the midterm rental insurance blueprint to help accelerate your process in being able to land these midterm rental insurance contracts with respect to your marketplace. Make sure you click the button below and grab it and continue on with the gems in this video. How do we even position ourselves to start being able to work with them? Well, number one is, if you have a furnished accommodation, good for you. You're in a position to then offer, you're halfway there, as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, if you have an Airbnb or a furnished finder or listing or anything like that, if you have a furnished accommodation and you're not even on any of those platforms, you are in a position to put yourself in a position to be able to serve them. Now, why do I say that? It's because a lot of these relocation agencies are looking for furnished accommodations, as well as some that are unfurnished. I can only speak on the furnishing because I got into the space with furnished accommodations already. And so therefore, my properties and the ones of investors that we helped hundreds of investors across the nation are indeed furnished. And there is a premium that comes with having a furnished accommodation, when all you have to do is tell the guest to show up with their luggage and their belongings, and that's it. Furniture is included, Wi-Fi is included, utilities included, it's ready to go. That type of product warrants being paid for a premium, and it's a better alternative than a hotel, which is typically the primary solution for these families until they find a temporary solution, which can be your home. So how do we get in front of these anyways? Where are these relocation agencies looking for these furnished accommodations? Well, they do like to start in their own backyard, meaning their own website. So it's actually in your best interest for you to do a quick search and said relocation agencies in blank market, my market. You can start. Also, a huge tip that I like is to actually look up on LinkedIn, have a quick look, and type in a company such as the likes of ALE Solutions. It's actually one of the #1 relocation agencies in the nation. And the reason why I say start with them is because you'll see, if you type them in LinkedIn, if you type them in Google, you'll see there'll be other companies that get listed as well. Those are the kind of companies you want to get familiar with. But it's one thing for you to get familiar with them, but it's also important for them to get familiar with you. And one way for them to get familiar with you is to go on their website and actually enter your property into their database. Database is just another fancy word for saying there's a submit button. Enter your property's information, owner details, and hit that submit button. You should receive a confirmation email, and that's it. That is the beginning of it all. That is how we got started. Once we established ourselves in their database and there was an unforeseen event that occurred in our particular zip code, we were reached out to via email. As a matter of fact, the first time they emailed us, we missed the email because we were on our honeymoon and we are completely unplugged, rightfully so, which is great. But with that said, because we're in our database and we have more than one property, they then reached out for another one, and then it was all she wrote. We never looked back. And the reason why it is so key to do and take this action is because I always like to say, and I swear I'm going to make shirts by this, we always focus on the contact over the initial contract. A lot of people, sometimes investors who get into the space, which there are not that many, this is a very hidden niche that people are just figuring out about, but it's been around for, again, decades. It's essentially corporate housing, relocation housing, temporary housing, you call it what you want. These businesses, these companies have been around for decades, right? And the thing is, it's important, not only do I say it's important for you to focus on the contact, is because once you do have a contact that does reach out to you and say, is this such and such available? Even if your property is not available, the door has been open. I now have a touch point and I can actually start fostering the relationship by being of service so that they can come back to us. Because unlike a one-time guest on Airbnb or maybe a traveling nurse on Furnish Finder, they may or may not come back to your town again. But a relocation agent has other colleagues looking in your own backyard all the time. So when you foster a relationship with them, you foster a relationship with the others, and fostering a good relationship. And it's not just given that just because one of them, you now know everyone, but it is opening up that door to then be able to get introduced to his or her friends. And that is why it is so critical for you to do step number one: get into their database to begin with. That will give you a huge advantage, or at least put you in a position to be able to foster a contact point so that you can have multiple lucrative contracts that again have high margins, low turnovers, and the possibility of multiple extensions over time. If you get value from this video, make sure you check out my how to work with relocation specialists to land lucrative contracts video right here.